So where does morality come from? What is it? Is it a science? How do we determine what's moral and what isn't? I've talked about this on my other channel before, but it's been a very long time. It's long past due. So let's get into it. So morality is an interesting subject, and there's a lot of debate surrounding it. Commonly, the big question about this is it subjective or objective? I.e., is it set in stone? Is there some set of moral commands we should be turning to that tells us moral precepts that we should follow? Or do we form out morality as a society? In my view, and in the view of modern science, morality is entirely based on empathy. If we don't want it to happen to us, we don't do it to anybody else. This goes back to one key evolution: the ability to build models in our minds. That wasn't just beneficial for our society though. It was beneficial for our ability to build a model of an antelope or a deer or something and plan out exactly how we were going to take it down for food. Eventually we developed mirror neurons, and with those two powers combined, we became Captain Planet. Now I'm joking. With those two things combined, we gained the ability to see something happening to somebody else and build a model of that thing happening to us. That was the root of empathy. Some people believe that morality is objective. We shouldn't murder, period. We shouldn't steal. Now, to most of us, those things are obvious, but how do we justify them? How can we justify saying stealing is wrong, murder is wrong? Ultimately, it all comes down to well-being. Just like healthcare's goal is to make people healthier, and astronomy's goal is to study the stars, morality's goal is to maximize well-being. When you deal with certain fields, there's an implicit assumption behind it. And Sam Harris points out in his book, The Moral Landscape, we give more leeway to other fields of science than we do to morality. There's a correct answer to what's better or worse for people. There is an objective answer to it. And if you boil it down, everybody's goal, whether they believe morality is subjective or objective, is to maximize well-being. So what's the best way to do that? Take this example. Everybody's heard the trolley problem. There's a trolley on its way down the tracks and it's about to kill 5 people. You can flip a lever to move the trolley onto another set of tracks, thus killing 1 person instead of 5, or you can leave it aimed at the 5. Most people will say they would flip the lever to save the 5 people, because that's maximizing well-being. We don't know anything about the other people, but with the information we have and a split-second decision, most people would flip the switch. Now, if there was a fat man on the bridge above the trolley, and you knew you could push him off the bridge to stop it, would you? Most people say no, they wouldn't. Why not? It's basically the same problem. Sacrifice 1 to save 5. The math works out the same. What's different? You're up close and personal. You're interacting with him. You wouldn't want that to happen to you. But think about this problem. There's a doctor who has 5 sick patients, 2 of whom need kidney transplants, 1 needs a liver transplant, 1 needs a lung transplant, and 1 needs a heart transplant. There's a single healthy person in the waiting room. How can we justify not cutting the guy up and giving his organs to the 5 sick people? Save 5 lives to take 1. The math works out the same as the trolley problem. The vast majority of people hearing this argument recoil at the idea. Why? Why don't we want that? Here's the answer. Because we don't want to live in a society where we could be that one healthy guy in the waiting room. We don't want to live in a society where we have to fear we might be sacrificed for the greater good. We don't want to live in fear of going to a doctor or going near train tracks. If we find ourselves in that situation, then fine. Millennia of evolution takes over and we do some quick mental math to work out which option would maximize well-being the most. But part of maximizing well-being includes our psychological well-being. We don't want to live in a world where we have to live in fear. That's my moral argument to you. And on that note, I have one more moral question to leave with you. Something to mull over while you're at work or school tomorrow. How far does the well-being extend? Should we only be concerned with maximizing the well-being of humans? Or should we be maximizing the well-being of animals too? Bearing in mind that animal brains are quite different from ours. Most animals don't have a recognition of the passage of time, for example. Not like humans do. So cutting their lives short doesn't mean the same thing to them as it would to a human. However, they do know when they're being treated poorly. They do know what it's like to have a hard life. So where's the line between maximizing human well-being by having meat to eat and maximizing animal well-being by, at the very least, giving them happy lives up to the moment they're sent to the slaughterhouse? Should we be slaughtering them at all? Should we be vegetarians? Personally, I think we should be vegetarians. I'm not a vegetarian. I eat meat, but I do strive for that ideal. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. Follow me on social media, Discord, and Patreon. Thanks for watching, guys.